What up, my beautiful tubers? Thank you so much for clicking on today's episode. Bloody means the world to me. And if you like it all what you see, be sure to block and subscribe for more content. So, Helldivers, we've got the new fucking patch, the patch 1.0.0.400. And this is from Johan here, straight from the fucking Steam community. Now a Chief Creator Officer position at Arrowhead. First, I want to thank you from the community for clearly voicing your opinions and concerns on the balance and fun of the game. With that, we have done over a lot of weapons and stratagem balances in the last patch 01.00400, and we wanted to share with you a little bit more information and decisions we've made. Now, these are going into great detail, but a lot of this detail is actually nonsense. If you do want to read it in detail, I will leave a link in the comment section or in the fucking thing, whatever, below. Alright, so let's get straight into actually what is going on here. With these balancing changes, we wanted to buff up some of the weaker stratagems and make them more viable to add opportunity for variety in loadouts. We've also changed a few to make them more consistent, but the goal was to keep a similar or higher power level. We are looking into all the stratagems more to see if there are any of the other stratagems that might need some buffs or changes to make them more viable. We also want to explain why we are making these changes we do so that you can follow our thinking. So that's great. I'm not going to go into the thinking. I'm just going to go into exactly what's going on. Starting off with the sentries. First, the rocket sentry, we want to make it more consistent against medium and larger enemies and give it a better ammo economy to separate it from the autocannon sentry that has a higher damage output but can waste ammo by shooting targets that are already dead. Going on to the machine gun sentry, they lowered the cooldown time to make it more viable and more useful when changing positions often. And they basically did that with a lot of the sentries here: the machine gun sentry, the Gatling gun sentry, the rocket sentry, the autocan sentry, the fucking mortar sentry, mate, all of them. All the sentries in the game were a little too easily killed by the bullets flying in the chaotic situations. We've increased the durability factors of the turrets to make them more resistant to small arms fire. So that's good. These turrets actually, when I was using them, felt really good. The new upgrades to these stratagems felt fucking phenomenal, mate. Let's go on to the anti-personal minefields here. The minefields were supposed to be strong but viable by blocking certain approaching enemies. For now, we've increased their damage to at least improve their effectiveness against targets that are bigger than them. So that's what's going on with those minefields. They just infected the damage range. The orbital Gatling gun is still not very likely to outright kill heavily armored targets, but should be able to soften them up a bit. We've also lowered the cooldown to make it more valuable and to make it more competitive in comparison to the Eagle stratagems, mate. Alright, with the Orbital Precision Strike, we want to make it a little easier to use against moving targets by lowering the call-in time. We've also lowered the cooldown time to make it more available and to make it more competitive in comparison to the Eagle stratagems, mate. A fucking airburst strike, it makes it more effective options with a lower cooldown time, which also cool. So a bunch of lowered cooldown times with those ones, and actually makes it pretty viable with the cooldown times and gives you a little bit more variety when you are building your loadout. It is fun to run all three of them, but it's not as effective as having your 500 kg bomb or your orbital rail cannon strike. Those are my personal favorites for the one-shot kills, but these are still fun and fun to fuck around with, mate. They did fuck with the Eagle 110 rocket pods. The 110 rocket pods were very inconsistent in dealing with its main targets, heavily armored enemies. The change we are making to aim to make it more consistent at dealing with these targets, but it will still not be a sapphire way to outright killing them. It should, however, always soften up the target in some way. So that's kind of lame. I think the rocket pods, once you get to the 110, it should be a one-shot kill. but who the fuck am I? The Eagle Strafing Run is supposed to be a tool to effectively deal with small groups of medium armored enemies. To the end, we have increased armor penetration to be able to reliably penetrate medium armored targets and soften up heavy armored enemies. I love that. It's going to make these two Eagle Stratagem runs even better, in my fucking opinion. Uh, One thing that they did do is gave the grenade launcher a huge buff, mate. The grenade launcher is intended to be good at softening up hordes of enemies and provide utility for destroying spewers, and I believe it does that perfectly. But they've changed the explosive damage, should put it in a better place when it comes to dealing with the hordes and more effective against some medium enemies. So huge buff right there. I love the grenade launcher and I can't wait to take it out for a spin. The heavy machine gun, these got a little bit of a tweak, but in a good way. So the patch notes are crazy for there. They lowered the fire rate to give it a faster, longer ammo longevity. Basically just a balance there they did with the machine guns, mate. So go ahead and give it a fucking twirl. The durability damage for rifle calibers. All right, this is something that they went heavily into. I'm going to go into a little bit more later on because it's just so much to go over, and it's going to throw the video off in my opinion. But still, a lot of good weapon stats right there. I think definitely, very importantly, the CB9 exploding crossbow got a bit of a buff. Let's fucking go. Making both the projectile and the explosive penetrate medium armors should make the crossbow more consistent against medium-sized targets and increase its AOE availability. That is fucking sick. I love that they did that. The R36 Eruptor got a fucking huge buff, bringing its damage to 570 total, mate. Bloody hell. One of the biggest controversial weapons nerfs that they did in the last update. We finally got our weapon back. I love this gun so much. Because in the previous patch, we removed the shrapnel from the explosives as it made the Eruptor's ability to spike damage too much for a primary weapon. And for a support weapon, even its theoretical max was over 9,000 damage, mate, I guess. Introduction was some unexpected interactions. We acknowledge that the Eruptor's lost its good portion of its capabilities, and the addition to damage boost didn't make up for the loss of shrapnel. You fucks, mate. Adding back the shrapnel was quite tricky because of the low visibility of shrapnel, which sometimes created situations where you or your fellow Helldivers died with very little feedback of what killed you. To compensate for that, we've given the Eruptor 150 more damage per explosive, giving you 100 total of 570 to make it more consistent without introducing the new edge casings. To interact with that, this change will make the Eruptor viable both against medium armored targets and groups of fucking enemies. Let's go, baby. I love it! One thing I absolutely love is the crystal clear galactic war map. With the new update, we now see the supply lines and exactly what we're managing spreading democracy for, mates. It's nice, it's clean, it's clear, gives you a nice general idea. Big ol' UI update in general. The graphics look good, feels smoother, everything just feels a lot more better with this update. Also, I don't know if you noticed in the beginning, now you can do with the matchmaking privacy to invite to game, friends only, or fucking public, whatever your playstyle, whatever you're doing in the game. Also, the super samples, you can now collect them in the extreme difficulty setting, which is level 6. You can now collect up to 2 super rare samples in level 6 difficulty. Super awesome for new Helldivers getting into the game to start collecting samples to upgrade their ships and get different stratagems and all that good shit, mates. They also took away the AA booster. I forgot what it does and all that good shit, but this is just a general idea of all the patch notes kind of boiled down into taking away all the fat and giving you the straight meat. I hope you have a great day, a great month, and a great year. My name's Sincere, and I'm going to catch you guys in the next one.